Hi, and welcome back for day 2 of 365 Days of Art. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. I wanted to mention that the acrylic class that I am doing is by Nancy Rayner. You can look her up if you want. When I get to the end of her course, I will be doing a review on it and whether or not I recommend it. So to be clear, as I go through this, I am going to be exploring different techniques and hopefully getting better at a lot of those different techniques, but I'm not going to be going into depth. I'm not going to step on her toes and translate the course to you guys. So I wanted to be super clear on that. I just wanted to share with you my experience and what I'm going to be doing with the different mediums. So if you're interested in really learning about the different mediums and the way that she honestly goes into it and explains it about the viscosity and translucency or opaqueness of different things, definitely check out her course. Again, though, I'm going to be doing a review on it when I get to the end of it, so you can always wait. Today we're going to be playing with the different things that you can put in acrylic paints. Playing around with a matte medium. This is something that you can add to the paint or put over top of the paint. It's mostly fluid, it is very matte, and this is not quite transparent or opaque, it's more translucent, so you can see something through it. Very excited to try that today. We're going to be using a gloss gel by Liquitex. This is much thicker. It is actually transparent, however, and this is a gloss gel that we're going to try. Matte normally kind of, mutes things, whereas gloss should add a pop. And I can't wait to play with that. The first thing we're actually going to pull out, though, is this Liquitex modeling paste. They have this and they have a light modeling paste, which is just a lot lighter. So this is just the standard modeling paste. It is supposedly very thick, it's very matte, and definitely opaque. So you could actually cover up areas of your painting with this if you wanted to. I'm very tactile, which is part of a reason that I don't really do oil paints, because I like everything I mess with to be water soluble because I'm going to touch it. It's just gonna happen. So let's see, so this modeling paste is actually like paste. That's really interesting. I don't know if you can see inside the jar here. It's just very, woo. I don't know if you've ever mixed up cornstarch and water, but that is what it feels like. So today's gonna be done in a lot of different layers. There's gonna be a lot of cuts and drying time happening. So what I'm first going to do, and the colors, I'll go ahead and touch on that real quick, that I'm gonna use today. I'm still using Arteza. I haven't gotten to my golden paints yet. I'm gonna be using a lemon yellow because this is, I think, gonna be a great example of a color, or I'm hoping it will. I haven't actually played with any of these yet, hence getting ready to do this. But lemon yellow is a great example of something that when you dilute it, you really lose the pop, the brightness of the color. So I wanna do my background in this today, and I'm really hoping that we can keep that vibrancy by mixing it. I'm gonna be doing phthalo blue, and I wanted to do this one because it's semi-transparent, it's not fully opaque, and it's another good example of a very rich color that you could add kind of an opaque medium to get a better effect than just adding, if you add titanium white, which does, make your paints more opaque because titanium white itself is opaque, but it lightens your paint and kind of dilutes the color, and we don't want that. And then I got this Pearl Sapphire Blue, also by Arteza, and that's because it's shimmery and pretty, and I want to see if I can get kind of a glazing effect. My goal is to do just a very simple background and a very simple flower shape. I looked it up online. Always make sure when you are looking for images for reference that you are looking for non-copyrighted, royalty-free images. Pixabay, I want to say, is one of the sites that I look at. If you just Google reference images for artists, then there's a lot of websites that will come up that you are just always double check the image itself, but generally there's good websites you can check that are free to use that reference photo. It's not as big of a deal when you're doing something just for you. You can just do that quick Google search and, oh, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to look at to be able to paint for practice. However, when you start sharing it on social media, on posts, or if you're even looking at a reference photo for something that you may be painting for somebody else that you want to sell later, the last thing you want to do is to use a photo, sell it, have it be big or whatever, and then that person comes after you because technically you weren't supposed to use that photo. What I'm gonna do first is I'm going to take this modeling paste that I talked about, and I'm going to just put in the structure of my flower. I'm putting it on this just very lightly gessoed section of my canvas. I'm putting this on first before any paint because I want to do the flower in blue and I want a yellow background, but I want to see if I can't get the petals to look kind of translucent. So rather than using something that is going to be opaque if I put it on top, I'm going to try putting it in the bottom first and painting over it, and then I can paint in my flower petals on top of that, but I'll have that texture. So let's give this a shot. Not really trying too hard to match my reference photo. And that's a good way to use reference photos. I know it seems so controversial in the art world whether or not that's cheating. Personally, if you don't paint from a reference photo, the people that don't, you probably just heard Nori in the background, my cat. If you don't, it's just because you're painting from reference photos in your mind. But if you want to paint a whale and you've never seen a whale, I don't see why that should stop you. I think you should paint a whale and look at photos, and everybody has their level of comfort. Some people are totally cool with painting exactly the photo, and I personally think that that can be really good practice. Some people are more comfortable if you're doing more like what I'm doing today, where I'm just kind of reminding myself what the shape of the flower is. I'm not really trying to paint exactly what I see in the image. I just want it to be a flower. Because what happens is that if you don't have the practice of taking what you have seen before, especially when it comes to nature, when it comes to things that we all can recognize, like a flower is one of the easiest things to kind of mess up, is your brain corrects it to what it thinks it should be rather than necessarily what it actually is. So if you've never done that, it's really good, I think, to try to paint exactly what you see. You just kind of turn your brain off. And when it tries to correct you to what it thinks it wants you to do, you just tell it no, and you paint exactly what you see. That is the start. We are going to let this fully dry, and as soon as it's dry, I will see you guys back, and we're gonna add some yellow to this. Welcome back. You'll notice that I only have the one picture up here now. I realized during the drying time that I wasn't gonna be able to roll this piece because I don't want to crack the medium, even though I'm not trying to create masterpieces here, but I do want to look back on my year and see what I did. So I actually just hole punched some rings in the top here, and we're going to make a year flip book of art instead of the scroll, as much as I like the scroll idea. So I've marked on my tape here because I want to do 3 different sections. I tried to make sure they're not exactly even sections. I just wanted to make sure I could get different parts of the flower in the different mediums. And again, we're gonna do our background in lemon yellow, semi-transparent. Let's try this. First, we're just gonna do the yellow, titanium white, and I just realized, why didn't you guys tell me my dryer's running? Because my painting studio is in my house's basement. I'll be right back. You hear me now. I am so sorry for that. Paint's already on the canvas, so I'm not gonna redo all of that. Moving on. Next up is just the lemon yellow itself. It should be really pretty. And you'll see the paste is dry enough that I can just really push it into all those crevices where I want it. If you didn't wait for your paste to dry, this is where you'd be having issues. I am adding a matte medium by Liquitex and about equal parts to the yellow. Alrighty, that flows really nice on the canvas. That's quite beautiful. We're gonna let that dry, and we will come back with all this drying in between. One, tell me in the comments, what do you do when you're waiting for the layers to dry? Do you walk away? I personally don't like to leave my art space because I will go and forget. And then I'll just be sitting here and I'm like, dang it. As much as I love art, we all know how that goes. You walk around the house, there's about 50 things that need to get done, and you start working on them. So instead, I'm gonna do little things. I'm going to get out my yoga mat, and I think I'm going to stretch and or do sit-ups. If you're like me, it's hard to convince yourself to do those things because you're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to like get in a full workout while this dries, / what I was talking about, I'm gonna forget. I have to remember, baby steps are good too. I can just go over there in between this layer and stretch out my legs. And then with the next layer, maybe I'll stretch out my arms or do a couple of sit-ups, because at least a few sit-ups is better than getting to the end of the day and doing no sit-ups, right? Baby steps, progress. Progress is good. Just because you can't do it perfect and complete doesn't mean don't do it. That's how we get to the end of the day and regret that we didn't do something. So I will see you back in a little bit. So you can see now that they're dry, I'm not seeing much of a difference between, so you can see where I used the titanium white, obviously it lightened it up quite a bit. And then you can see where there's just the yellow itself, but if I didn't have these lines here and I didn't know that I applied them separately, this bottom where I added the matte medium, again, is what that was. I'm not seeing much of a difference. What's exciting about that though is that, like we were talking about with more expensive paste, you want them to go farther. So it's actually really cool to see that I'm not seeing much of a difference between the two of these, because it means I can use a lot less of my actual paint and I can just help, you know, mix them with a medium and extend them better without losing the color like I do with the titanium white. So next up, I grabbed this brush. The name is escaping me right now, but you see how it has kind of the rounded edge. That makes it really perfect for flower petals. So what I want to do is I want that translucent effect like we were talking about. I'm going to use this Pearl Sapphire Blue. Put that on my palette there. And I'm going to go ahead and mix it with equal parts of the gloss gel. So this is a gel rather than a medium, and this is gloss rather than matte. I am very interested in how, if you guys can see where it kind of pools up around all that texture that I added at the beginning. So far, I'm actually very excited about the modeling paste. When you're planning out a composition, that's kind of cool to put on first and then paint over. Another drying and stretch break. We'll be back with the next part. All right, we are once again dry. You can see how that stayed really beautiful and shiny. However, I'm a little skeptical just because this was a Pearl Sapphire Blue. I will say, again, like the matte medium, it didn't dilute the color. Super love that so much. I would say it made it a little more translucent though, just because this is it's an opaque color by itself. However, I want to play with this a little bit, and we're gonna do some of my Phthalo Blue, which is semi-translucent itself. I'm actually gonna tape off, I think, some stripes in the background. Paint, this is just the Phthalo Blue. Phthalo Blue in the matte medium. This is going to be Phthalo Blue in the gel medium. And I think the last one, I didn't mix the modeling paste with any paint. So let's do Phthalo Blue and just a touch of modeling paste. All right, I'll be right back when it dries. Now is a good time to thoroughly clean your brushes. Let's not ruin any brushes today. We're gonna try something this time. I'm not mixing them with anything. This is the matte medium itself. And I'm gonna apply it on the outer edges. the medium. Now I'm gonna take the gloss and I'm gonna go in the center here. Okay, you see how matte this is? This is just the modeling paste. I'm gonna apply gel just to the top. Let all of this dry. We are back. This is pretty much dry. There's probably a couple spots where it's really thick that it's not fully dry yet. That's gonna take a long time to dry because now it's like the under layers. The top part did dry though. And overall, it's interesting. So one, I swear to goodness, one of these times I'm gonna make an entire video about tape because my lines didn't come out as crisp as I wanted, but I don't think I pressed it as hard. So this was the matte. Again, I ended up really liking the matte medium. Again, that's not a gel, it's a matte medium, because it really did cause the paint to flow really smoothly on the canvas, but it didn't detract from any of the color. That being said, where I put the matte over the flowers, it doesn't look that different to me from just the regular paint. So I think what we're gonna try to do is next time I'm gonna paint more of a varied background and then put the matte gel over it and see if that'll help create some depth. So I'll do like a background, matte gel, we'll put something over top of it and see if we can get that more of that effect. The gloss came out really nice. I really quite enjoy the gloss. You can definitely tell the difference between the two though. This is more transparent. It didn't really cover things up as much, but it is pretty, and I love the gloss where I didn't mix it with the paint. I think I like the gloss better when I don't actually mix it with the paint and I just put it over top, because that's what made the center of this flower really pop, and that makes me so happy. Because I like it up here too, where this is the matte modeling paste, and I will say it doesn't dilute the color as much as the titanium white does, so that's a good thing to take note of. But it does make it definitely more matte and a little more muted. But then I added gloss on it up here, and that really brought it back to life. I feel like it really made the color pop once again. So this was super fun. That was day 2. I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, take a picture of whatever you're doing today artistically and toss it in the comments. I would love to see it. Thanks. Bye.